Hello, my friend. I'm Dr. Mary Parker, a sleep and recovery specialist, and today I want to talk to you about something that almost no one explains clearly: the one bedtime habit that is quietly sabotaging your recovery hormones night after night. For years, we were told that as long as we spent enough hours in bed, the body would automatically repair itself. But that's not true. What you do in the last 60 minutes before closing your eyes can either boost your natural recovery hormones or shut them down at the exact moment you need them most. And if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, this difference is enormous for your vitality, your circulation, your mental clarity, and even your confidence in your intimate life. Let me start with a myth that many of us grew up believing. After a certain age, you just don't recover like before, and there's nothing you can do about it. That idea is everywhere. We hear it when someone says, "Well, I'm not 30 anymore," as if tiredness, stiffness, and low mood were an automatic sentence written into our birth certificate. But when we actually look at the science of sleep and hormones, a very different picture appears. The body keeps a remarkable capacity to rebuild muscle, repair tissue, balance hormones, and protect the brain even in later decades of life. The problem is not that the body forgets how to recover. The problem is that we constantly interrupt the natural process that is programmed to unfold at night. So what is this bedtime habit that is destroying your recovery hormones? I will name it clearly from the beginning: lying in bed under bright artificial light, scrolling or watching emotionally charged content on screens, right up until the moment you try to fall asleep. It sounds simple. It even sounds harmless. I'm just catching up on messages. I'm watching a little news. I need a distraction to fall asleep. But your brain and your hormones don't see this as relaxing. They read it as daytime, urgency, and unfinished business. And when your brain thinks it's still daytime, it does something very specific. It blocks the rise of the hormones that only come out in the dark, quiet hours when you are calm and safe. To understand the impact of this, we need to talk about your internal team of recovery hormones. Think of your body at night as a night shift crew in a factory. When you fall asleep, a group of workers clock in. Melatonin walks in first and says, "Lights off. It's night. Let's start repair mode." Once deep sleep begins, growth hormone steps onto the floor, supervising tissue repair, muscle restoration, and the renewal of many cells. In the background, other hormones adjust. Cortisol gently drops, allowing your nervous system to relax. Insulin sensitivity resets, preparing your body to manage glucose better the next day. In both men and women, hormones related to vitality and intimate well-being balance themselves during the night. This is the quiet, invisible work that determines whether you wake up feeling restored or already exhausted before you stand up. Now imagine what happens when this night shift crew never receives the signal that it's time to work. Every time you lie in bed with a bright screen close to your eyes, you send your brain a very clear message. It's still daytime. Keep me alert. Don't go into deep repair yet. The specific type of light that phones, tablets, and many LED lights emit is interpreted by your brain almost like midday sun. Your internal clock is confused. Melatonin, the hormone that should rise and open the gates to deep restorative sleep, is delayed or weakened. And if melatonin is late, growth hormone is also late. Your body spends more time in light, shallow sleep and less time in the deep, slow-wave sleep where the real physical repair happens. This is why so many people tell me, "I sleep 7 or 8 hours, but I wake up as if I had not slept." The number of hours is there, but the quality is missing. Their sleep is fragmented, shallow, and constantly interrupted by micro-awakenings and restless thinking. Their recovery hormones only have a short window to work instead of a long, peaceful shift. Over the years, this has consequences: slower muscle repair after activity, more joint stiffness in the morning, more fluid retention, more cravings the next day, elevated blood pressure, lower emotional resilience, and a gradual decline in vitality that people often blame on aging alone. The screens are only one part of the problem. The second part is what those screens show. When you are scrolling in bed, you are usually not watching a slow documentary about mountains. You are looking at news, social media, arguments, dramatic scenes, or messages that trigger worry or comparison. The The brain doesn't distinguish much between real events and emotionally intense content on a screen. Your heartbeat changes, your muscles tense, and your stress hormones rise. Cortisol, which should be gently falling at night to allow recovery hormones to do their work, gets a second wind. Instead of sliding into deep calm, your internal system is stuck in alert mode. Even if you feel sleepy, your nervous system is not truly relaxed. This combination is what I call the perfect storm against recovery. Bright artificial light plus emotional agitation right before bed. Together, they send a signal to your brain that says, stay awake, stay on guard, don't fully let go. For a teenager, this might result in feeling a bit tired the next day. For someone over 50, where natural hormone rhythms are already more delicate, this can mean the difference between a night that restores you and a night that silently drains your reserves. Now here is the hopeful part. The same way that one destructive habit can disrupt your recovery hormones, one simple, natural practice can help restore them, creating a hormone-friendly hour before sleep. This is not a complicated routine, and it does not require expensive gadgets or supplements. It is a conscious decision to protect the 60 minutes before bedtime from the two main enemies of recovery hormones, intense light and mental overstimulation. When you give your brain and body a calm, dim, predictable hour before sleep, you essentially tell your hormones, you can start your night shift now. It's safe. Let's explore what happens when you change this bedtime habit and how it affects your body, one benefit at a time. The first major benefit is the natural rise of melatonin. Melatonin is not a sedative. It doesn't knock you out. It's more like the director who dims the lights in a theater and asks everyone to take their seats, because the main show is about to begin. When you reduce bright light and stop exposing your eyes to screens at least 1 hour before sleep, you allow melatonin to rise more naturally. This means your body recognizes that night has truly arrived. People who make this change often notice that they start to feel drowsy at a more consistent time, their thoughts slow down more easily, and they fall asleep with less struggle. Instead of forcing sleep, they allow sleep to arrive. This shift alone can transform nights of tossing and turning into a smoother glide into rest. The second benefit appears once melatonin has done its job: deeper slow-wave sleep and stronger pulses of growth hormone. Growth hormone is often associated with children or athletes, but it remains essential in adulthood, and especially in mature years. It supervises tissue repair after the small micro-injuries of daily life, helps maintain lean muscle, supports bone health, and contributes to the renewal of many cells. The majority of this hormone is released during the first part of the night in deep, slow-wave sleep. When you are still buzzing from late-night scrolling, your brain visits this deep stage for shorter periods. As you create a calm pre-sleep hour, your body can spend more time in that heavy, dreamless sleep where growth hormone works quietly. Over weeks and months, this translates into better recovery after walks or exercise, less soreness, and a sense that your body is not behind on repair. The third benefit involves cortisol, the main stress hormone. Cortisol is not the villain. You need it to wake up, to focus, and to respond to challenges. The problem arises when cortisol peaks at the wrong time. Late-night scrolling, news, or arguments pull cortisol upward when it should be drifting down. By protecting the last hour of your day from this onslaught, you allow cortisol to follow its natural curve, higher in the morning, lower in the evening. This more harmonious rhythm means fewer sudden awakenings at 2 or 3 a.m. with a racing heart and a mind full of worries. It also reduces the tendency to store fat around the abdomen and helps stabilize mood and patience, which are often put to the test during the day. The fourth benefit appears in your metabolic health. At night, your body wants to reset its relationship with glucose. When sleep is fragmented and recovery hormones are weakened, your cells become less responsive to insulin, the hormone that helps manage blood sugar. Over time, this contributes to higher glucose levels and more cravings for sugary foods the next day. When you protect your recovery window, your body has more opportunity to restore insulin sensitivity. Many people notice that when they improve their pre-sleep habits, they no longer wake up desperately needing something sweet to get going, and their energy is more stable between meals. This might seem like a small detail, but stable energy is one of the pillars of long-term vitality. The fifth benefit is less visible but deeply important: protection of the brain. During deeper sleep, especially when recovery hormones are doing their work. The brain's cleaning system becomes more active. It's a kind of nightly maintenance where metabolic waste is cleared more efficiently. When sleep is shallow and agitated, this system works less effectively. Over time, this can affect memory, mental clarity, and the ability to concentrate. When you remove late-night screens and give your nervous system a gentler landing, you are not only seeking a better morning, you are caring for your future brain. People frequently describe it in simple terms. I can think more clearly. I don't feel so foggy. I remember things more easily again. The sixth benefit touches an area that many people feel but rarely talk about openly: intimate well-being and confidence with a partner. Recovery hormones, including those that influence desire, circulation, and responsiveness, are adjusted at night. When sleep is broken and hormones are constantly interrupted by stress and light, it becomes harder to maintain that sense of inner spark. Fatigue, irritability, and low self-esteem can slowly replace curiosity, connection, and playfulness. When you improve your night routine, you are indirectly supporting your intimate health. Better hormone balance, more stable mood, and a body that feels more rested are all foundations for feeling confident and present in moments of closeness. Now, I want to take all of this science and translate it into something practical you can start tonight. Think of your last waking hour as sacred time for your recovery hormones. During this hour, 3 simple principles guide you. Dim the lights, calm the mind, and prepare the body. Dim the lights means exactly that. Turn off harsh overhead lights and use softer lamps, preferably with warm tones, not cold white. Move away from the bright glare of phones and televisions. If you need to check something urgently, do it briefly and then put the device away. The goal is that your eyes see an environment that clearly signals night, not office at noon. This doesn't require perfection. Even a reduction in brightness and screen time can make a difference. Calm the mind means choosing activities that gently slow your thoughts instead of stirring them up. This could be reading a paper book, listening to soft music, practicing a breathing exercise, or writing a few lines in a journal about 3 things you are grateful for that day. The key is simplicity and repetition. When your brain learns, this is what we always do before sleep, it starts to recognize the pattern and relax more quickly. The drama, the debates, the scary news, and the endless scrolling can wait until the next day when your brain is in a better state to process them. Prepare the body means sending physical signals of safety and comfort. A warm shower, a cup of a gentle herbal infusion without caffeine, a brief stretching routine for your neck, shoulders, hips, and ankles, even a few minutes with your feet elevated to support circulation. These small actions tell your muscles and joints, you can let go now. For people in midlife and beyond, these routines can be especially helpful. The body has carried decades of tension, work, and responsibility. It deserves a clear message that the day is done. You may be wondering, does this really work, even if I have been sleeping badly for years? Let me share a few brief examples from people very much like you who decided to change this single habit. Robert, 68, used to fall asleep with the television on every night. He told me he needed noise to distract himself from worries. He would wake up 3 or 4 times per night, sometimes with the TV still flashing in the background. Mornings meant heavy eyelids, knee pain, and feeling old before his time. When I suggested a 30-minute TV-free window before bed, he laughed and said it would be impossible. So we started with 15 minutes. He dimmed the lights, turned off the TV, and listened to soft instrumental music while doing a simple breathing pattern. Inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 6. He increased this to 30 minutes after 2 weeks. 1 month later, he reported something interesting. He still woke up at night sometimes, but he fell back asleep faster. His morning stiffness was less intense, and he didn't need 3 cups of coffee to function. Over time, as the new habit became natural, his recovery improved more and more. For him, the biggest change was not a miracle supplement. It was respect for that last quiet half hour. 62 had a different story. Her challenge was her phone. She would get into bed and lose track of time scrolling through social media and messages. Sometimes she would look at the clock and realize that 45 minutes had passed. She woke up tired with puffy eyes and felt that her motivation to exercise was disappearing. She also noticed that her patience with her partner was shorter, and small conflicts escalated quickly. We designed a simple rule. The phone would stay charging in another room, and she would buy an old-fashioned alarm clock to wake up. For the first week, she felt a bit restless and empty without the phone, but she replaced the habit with a small ritual, a warm foot bath, 3 stretches, and reading a few pages of a light novel. After 3 weeks, she noticed that she was waking up before the alarm, feeling less inflamed, and her mood swings were softer. She described it in her own words. "It's like my nights are finally doing what they're supposed to do." Carlos, 71, had back pain, low energy, and felt that his intimate life was over. He told me that he assumed this was just aging. When we explored his nights, I discovered that he often checked financial news and health forums in bed late into the night. The content was full of warnings, graphs, and worst-case scenarios. His mind was swimming in anxiety right before sleep. We decided that all financial and medical reading would happen before dinner, never in bed. In its place, he listened to a guided relaxation recording in a low-lit room. After about 6 weeks, he noticed that his back pain had decreased slightly in the mornings, that he could walk further without feeling drained, and that his interest in shared moments with his partner had quietly returned. It wasn't a sudden transformation, but a gentle reawakening. When I asked him what changed, he said, "I think my body is finally catching up. It feels like it has time to repair." Notice that in each of these cases, the main intervention was not a pill or a complicated protocol. It was the decision to stop feeding the brain bright light and agitation in the last hour of the day and to replace that habit with simple, calming actions that honor the work of recovery hormones. You might ask, what if my life is very busy and I can't always respect this hour? That's completely understandable. The goal is not perfection. The goal is direction. If you currently fall asleep directly from a screen, even 20 minutes of a calmer, darker transition can bring benefits. As your body starts to taste the difference, you will likely feel more motivated to protect that time. It becomes something you look forward to, not a restriction. There is another subtle benefit to this practice. It sends you a psychological message that your well-being matters. In midlife and later years, many people have spent decades putting others first. Children, parents, bosses, partners, responsibilities. Creating a hormone-friendly hour is a way of saying to yourself, "My rest is important. My body deserves conditions that allow it to recover." This attitude, repeated night after night, gradually builds a different relationship with your own health. Instead of fighting your body, you collaborate with it. Now, I want to circle back to where we started. The myth said, after a certain age, recovery just disappears. The reality is more nuanced. Recovery changes, yes. The margins for error become smaller. The same disruptive habit, late-night screens and emotional content, does more damage at 65 than it did at 25. But that does not mean that recovery is gone. It means it needs protection. Your hormones are not your enemies. They are your internal messengers. If you give them the right conditions, they still know how to guide your repair, your energy, your mood, and your intimate vitality. If I had to summarize everything we've explored today in one sentence, it would be this. The hour before you sleep is either the greatest ally or the quietest enemy of your recovery hormones, and you choose which one it will be. Changing one bedtime habit, putting down the screens, dimming the lights, and giving your mind and body a gentle landing can unlock the nighttime repair that you thought was lost to age. And here is the message of hope I want to leave with you. It is never too late to restore your nights. Even if you have spent decades sleeping badly, your body has not forgotten how to heal. It has simply been waiting for the right signals. Every calm, screen-free, softly lit evening you give yourself is a vote in favor of your future strength, your clarity, your circulation, and your intimate well-being. You don't have to do everything perfectly, you just have to begin. As you finish this video, I invite you to look honestly, but without guilt, at your own nights. What is the last thing your eyes see before you sleep? What is the last message your brain receives? If it is a cold, bright screen full of urgency, consider whether that habit still deserves a place in your life. And if this message resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with someone you care about, someone who also wakes up tired and thinks that nothing can change. Sometimes a small shift in awareness is the beginning of a much deeper transformation. Thank you for spending this time with me. I'm Dr. Mary Parker, and it's an honor to walk with you on this journey toward better sleep, stronger recovery hormones, and a more vibrant life in the years ahead. If you'd like to continue exploring natural ways to protect your well-being, your longevity, and your intimate health and maturity, you're welcome to stay connected. Share your experiences in the comments and be part of this community. Tonight, as you prepare for bed, remember, your recovery begins long before you close your eyes.